Hi, I'm Sasha Ayad. It's September 2024, and here's what's on my mind this month. Echo chambers. I remember many years ago when Facebook was this amazing portal that allowed you to connect with long lost friends and old schoolmates and coworkers from part-time jobs in high school. I worked at Blockbuster, by the way. And I remember it being so exciting to reconnect with people that you have these fond memories of and see what they're up to and just kind of look at cute pictures of their babies and their lives. And it really did feel like a chronologically live yearbook. It was very light and fun, and it gave you a chance to rebuild these kind of old nostalgic connections, but in the now. And what could be better than that, right? But then I remember the first time that I scrolled onto a post written by one of these old high school friends that was very highly political. And at the time, I didn't like what I was reading. And suddenly felt this disappointment, like I wanted to really withdraw from this person. And I really didn't want to think differently of anyone because of political opinions. But, there I was being pretty judgy and kind of acting superior. And in that moment, a political post was actually having an impact on how I felt about someone who just moments ago I had nothing but the fondest memories of. Look, this is not my proudest moment, and sadly, I think we've all experienced this kind of thing, and it's honestly such a drag. Now, some of this was definitely on me. I have to take ownership for that, but it is also kind of weird and unnatural for everybody's political opinions to be out there on display all the time. Fast forward a few years, and things feel even more precarious online. For many of us, our social media accounts are full of followers and people that we follow, not because we have any real-life relationships with them, but because we have shared interests and actually similar opinions. And as we know, the most extreme social media accounts get the biggest followings, and they can actually shape the views and beliefs of their followers. And frankly, I have no idea how algorithms really work, but I've heard a lot of very smart people say that they are pulling us further and further into echo chambers. So what do these echo chambers do to our real life relationships? Here I'm talking about the 3D in-person real relationships we have with family and friends, and specifically parent-child relationships when the kid is questioning their gender. They certainly don't bring parents and kids together or create a lot of common ground. If anything, your social media feed or YouTube up next has probably created a completely unrecognizable world than the one your child is in. And it's entirely possible that some parents in the more gender-critical space have a feed full of loud, aggressive trans activists pushing their way into women's-only spaces, and then terrifying detransition stories of medical butchery and scandal, while your gender-questioning child has a social justice feed full of trans people being murdered for just existing, learning why talking about biological sex is actually transphobic hatred, and watching sentimental videos of girls practicing self-love and authenticity by taking testosterone, right? So then when you sit down together over baked ziti at 7 p.m. and try to engage in a nice, calm conversation about gender, no wonder it isn't going well. This is why I talk so often about getting kids off of social media and filling their lives with love and connection and fun and enriching activities that they genuinely like. And I often tell parents to tune out the distracting voices that undermine their parental intuition and really check in with themselves about how to best help their kid. But I also know that some kids who are not on trans TikToks all day and who have pretty flexible and nuanced ideas about gender and maybe zero intention of medically transitioning could have parents who are convinced that their kid's just moments away from taking testosterone or having surgery or running away to start their new trans life without their parents. And look, I can understand why. That stuff does happen. In fact, I've talked to parents who are going through this kind of thing as we speak. And those stories are harrowing, and they are the stuff of real nightmares for most moms and dads. But I guess my message for you today is this. Please be careful about online narratives and echo chambers, which can distort your understanding of your own child. If you have any relationship with your kid, you have to talk to them. And maybe more importantly, you have to be willing to really listen and understand what they are thinking and feeling about gender. Look, many families are in the dark. They discover that their kid's been nurturing a trans identity online, largely in secret. So there are huge gaps in the parents' knowledge about the child's state of mind. But please don't fill in these gaps with the scariest stories you've read on the internet. Frankly, it's not fair to your child to project other people's extremism onto them. And in the same way, it's not fair that activists will often fill kids' minds with stories of trans kids being rejected and kicked out of their house by their parents. These extreme stories make kids afraid to talk to you, and they pull away and then further get entrenched into that very echo chamber. And while teens and young adults are particularly vulnerable to becoming compromised by echo chambers, it can actually happen to adults too. So in our effort to protect your kids from distorted and dangerous online echo chambers, please protect your own state of mind. And remember that connecting with someone who does hold rigid or extreme beliefs is a very slow, incremental process that has to be based on genuine relationship and trust. I know you're watching this on YouTube, and my actual newsletter can only be found on my Substack. You can find the link below, and in this month, I discuss my appearance on the Mindful Mama podcast. I talk about a really fascinating episode of the Hidden Brain program about falling down rabbit holes and radicalization, just the stuff that I've been sharing here. And I tell you about my new topic video about how to heal radicalization. And I discuss a live Q&A with a very special guest who joined me to share how she helped her quirky autistic daughter to live with her in reality. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.